everyone. Welcome. Sorry, I was really hoping to get out the new test videos of equally sized weapons of the Nunchaku versus the straight stick, aka baton, which isn't something that we've seen yet. The Nunchaku was undersized in the video that Shad did. In the video that I did, the Nunchaku was oversized. So the only thing we saw is that the bigger weapon is going to hit harder. But in this one, I have a pretty good setup now to show how much energy was transferred. I moved my target from where it was, which was too close to the tree to really get a full view, out. So now it's suspended between two trees. Should help out a lot better now. Unfortunately, it was raining, so I had to cut it short. But since I have so much material that we need to go through to really appreciate everything that the Nunchaku has to offer in such an interesting comparison of two different weapons, I figured I'd go ahead and release this one without the super interesting bit everyone was looking forward to. So first, we need to look, and right now we're just going to consider the Nunchaku as a one-handed impact weapon, and the same thing with the stick. We're going to ignore all other ways you can use it. And for this, we need to focus on three factors. The first factor, it's what the energy potential of the weapon is. Right? Because each weapon design, if you're using it with just one hand, there's going to be a maximum amount of energy that you could load this weapon with, okay? And that's going to be a little bit independent from technique, because different strikes could begin the swing in different places, different positions, could require different setups, but there's going to be some kind of a maximum, which is really what Shad was trying to show. Like, I understand his technique wasn't the best, but again, okay, I have to say that I take issue with that, because when you're saying that, he put himself out as saying, I'm really good with the Nunchaku, I know what I'm doing, I can do this and this and this, and then he says that, sorry, I had really bad form and I was hitting myself because I was trying to hit hard. Okay. Hitting hard with an impact weapon is the technique, right? Like, you can say with a whole bunch of different weapons that they require all kinds of different skills, but it's just like saying with a sword that being able to slice through a target or stab through a target is the technique. With an impact weapon, generating and delivering kinetic energy is the technique. And if what you've been training on hasn't focused on doing that, the generation and the delivery with a weapon that is sized appropriately to have a sufficient potential energy store, then your training isn't effective and it's not representative of how to use the weapon. So, I mean, you have a million problems that are just solved by this. And that's what, in my opinion, what I saw, the techniques he was using, they didn't involve putting a lot of energy in the weapon and using it. So that's kind of my beef. If that's the purpose of the experiment and that is what it should be, then you need to have the technique in using it in that way, which, sorry Shad, but you didn't. Okay, so moving forward, I mentioned these three different factors, and today we're only going to tackle the first one, because I want to keep these videos under 10 minutes each. So here, if we look at this diagram, we have to the left the stick, and to the right we have this kind of representation of the energy store. So the longer the weapon is, the greater the mass has the potential to store energy. And it's pretty straightforward. With the stick, it looks real simple, real easy, real nice. Not much more to say. Now, moving on to the Nunchaku, we notice a couple of things. This is what Shad said, which was correct, is that because you have this separation between the two shafts, that you have trouble delivering the energy from the lower section. Now, as we're going to explore later, you don't necessarily lose all of this energy. There are techniques for storing it, but just for the purpose of this section, I'm going to count all of that energy as being lost. So we have here equal amount of mass, equal amount of length, not counting the cord, which, again, this is a fair comparison. So what we have is the stick comes out a little bit better. It has a little more potential to store kinetic energy. But what do we notice? This lower section that we're missing out on, it's not really storing that much energy. So what we're losing is not that big of a deal, really. And it's possible that this could be made up for in other ways. So again, we see it's not completely even. It is in favor of the stick, but they're quite similar. And like I said before, you can always just compensate a little bit by designing the Nunchaku to be a bit longer, or sorry, to be a bit heavier. You know, the main purpose is for concealability, which, you know, it works. It works. If you want to make a weapon concealable while preserving the length, this is a fantastic way to do it, and it's remarkably simple. So, moving on to what Shad did, okay? Look at this. All of that red, that's energy that was not present, or should I say potential energy, which was not present in Shad's experiment, because he used a larger length and mass for his solid stick. And this is where I just have to, I mean, why? Why would you do that? Of course, the cord is not going to be able to store potential energy. It's not creating something out of nothing. We can say that it maybe adds a little bit of length, but I mean, this is actually a pretty complex topic of that, and it depends on the swing. And for the purposes of this, we're just going to discredit it entirely, and we're going to say the purpose of the cord, it's not really to add length to increase the energy. It's just for the purpose of allowing us to preserve the length after we cut the stick. So again, this difference and this discrepancy shows us how much energy was lost. I mean, these numbers aren't perfect, but that's generally it. And it shows us why it's so important and really interesting to see what it looks like when we use weapons that are properly scaled together. Because again, the Nunchaku I did, it was much bigger, and I mean, I felt that hit way harder than the solid baton. I mean, the baton did break on impact, but yeah, there was way more power in the Nunchaku. But that's just because it was bigger, not because the design was better. So I'm going to leave you off here. Once that weather gets better, tomorrow is supposed to be raining all day. The day after that, we should have some sun, and then we can film that. Everything's set up. Look forward to it. Take care, guys.